I'm going to show you the fourth game of the World Championship match between world champion Magnus Carlsen and the challenger Fabiano Caruana. So in this fourth game, Carlsen had the white pieces and he opened with one c4. Well, we know that Magnus plays everything. Knight f3, e4, d4, c4. It's quite extraordinary. There was even one online blitz game where he played, I think, knight a3 to start. Well, I don't think we're going to see that, but anyway, c4. So he played d4 in his first white game in this match. And Fabiano doesn't mess around. He says, well, if my opponent's not going to claim the centre, then I'll claim the centre. And we had this very standard 4 knights position, and here white can choose between e3, which has been experiencing a little revival recently, and g3. So g3 from Carlsen, and here of course we've seen bishop b4. That's the other main move here, but d5 is of course the other main line. So this is basically a reversed Sicilian dragon, classical variation. And the old move here was always knight to b6, just withdrawing the knight, getting out of any trouble on this diagonal. But Fabiano played bishop c5, which looks a bit strange. It looks very wobbly, as though there's some kind of tactic here. In fact, in the last couple of years, it's been shown that this move is actually quite playable. And indeed, Caruana has played it before and had to face it too. Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana too. And here in the game between Aronian and Caruana, St. Louis 2017, that went knight d5, queen d5, knight g5, and an absolutely crazy game. Well, do look that up if you're interested. But Carlsen played in a much steadier way, d3. And now Anand Caruana, St. Louis 2017, went bishop b6 in this position. And Anand went on to win that one too. So Caruana doesn't actually have a very good record with this variation. Nevertheless, clearly he'd done his homework, and instead of withdrawing one of those loose pieces, he simply played rook e8, which was the continuation of the game between Caruana with white and Michael Adams with black. You're probably very confused by now. Caruana in that game, Caruana Adams London Chess Classic 2017, Caruana played knight g5, which was complicated, but Michael Adams was okay. Now instead of that, Carlsen played bishop d2. And then the knights were exchanged. Could play pawn takes here actually, but Carlsen went for bishop takes. And the knight came into d4. And we're following a game between Wesley So and Fabiano Caruana. He's played it 3 times with black. I've miscounted. Never mind. So Wesley So played rook c1 against Caruana previously. And in fact, Fabiano was absolutely fine with black. Thing is, once you get this knight to d4, that's really where the knight belongs. And it's just a little bit unpleasant for white to have to deal with that. So that's the position on the board in our game today with Carlsen white, and he played b4. Well, this sets in motion a minority attack, and this is one of the big aims that white has in this variation. The problem here is that so many pieces get exchanged. And here is where Magnus thought for some time. And really, if he wants to get anywhere in this position, he has to plough forward with his minority attack. Now, minority attack, that means 2 pawns against 3 pawns here. And the purpose of pushing is to isolate one of those pawns. And then white has one beautiful pawn island. But Magnus rejected b5 and just played rook e1, but that is a hesitant move, really. It's a compromise move. So let's have a look at b5. I think it's a very interesting position. Now, Carlsen said afterwards he just didn't think this was enough for white. But let's keep going. I think this is black's best. Certainly to exchange off those bishops. Now let's say queen c2 to connect the rooks and put the queen opposite this pawn. So isn't this just better for white because black has this weakness here? Well, symbolically perhaps. In fact, after queen d7, sometimes that queen could be useful for an attack on the king side. Maybe not with rook e6, that's too crude and too easy to prevent with the bishop d2. But it could be that h5, h4 comes at some stage just to loosen up white's king position. So let's say rook fc1. Now here, yeah, h5 is possible. Maybe rook ec8. And because black only has one weakness to take care of, things aren't too bad actually. And perhaps, you know, this pawn could even advance at some moment. It's also possible just to play rook b8 to exchange rooks. And actually things aren't too bad for black at all. I mean, I still think that white is slightly for choice in that position, but probably Magnus felt that it simplified the position too quickly. So instead he played rook e1, but after bishop d7 he admitted afterwards that really objectively white has nothing, because bishop d7 prevents the pawn advancing to b5. And then, well, what is white actually doing in this position? Not a lot. You need a pawn break basically. So this was the game continuation, and now bishop f5. Exchanging bishops will be a good idea because it could weaken that pawn. And Carlsen decided to exchange off pieces and head for this endgame. And at first glance you might think, yeah, maybe better for white because this looks like a weakness, these double pawns, but Caruana's next move was excellent. b5, which really puts a stop to white's queenside expansion and what provokes a little bit of a crisis actually with white's queenside. I mean, this pawn is fixed on the same colour square as that bishop. If, let me see, if white were to play rook a1, that's really the move we would like to play. Well, let's throw this in first. Let's play, this is the game continuation. If rook a1, then black has a tactical response, a5. And this is just very good for black after this. Or b takes a5, b4 followed by rook a5. So white can't hold the tension with rook a1. If a5, then c5 creates a protected pass pawn. That certainly is pleasant for black. So Carlsen had to exchange on b5, and that allows the rook to enter on the open file, and black just has tremendous counterplay here. Well, you can call it counterplay. Where is white's play actually? But Carlsen reacted cleverly. I think if he does, if he is careless here, then black could simply be better with this 2-1 queenside pawn majority and this rook active here, or one of the rooks active on an open file. But Magnus defended very well. This is a good maneuver. So you can see this rook cannot come to the 7th rank. This pawn is protected, so there's no danger here, and there's a threat to this pawn. So that just pegs black back for a little bit. Rook is still active here, but basically white is fine because he has a weakness to attack here. Clock times 40, very even, 47 minutes, 46 minutes. So no time pressure at all. This has already moved 27. And the players, well, they were clearly realised there was not too much to play for here, and the game drifted towards a draw. Some pawn exchanges. Of course, it's still possible to play recklessly here and lose, but both sides were very prudent with their choice. For example, g4 here, check. G4 check, don't like so much because that would potentially allow a rook to come in on the h file at some moment. But Carlsen just played e4 check. And in this position, with the move rook c1, he offered a draw, which Caruana accepted very quickly. So what could happen? Well, it's possible simply to exchange pawns here. And this position is very equal. The king just steps back, and that's a draw. I mean, black could play king here as well, but there's not too much to play for there. You've got to be a little bit careful with black about f4, but in any case, liquidation is sensible, and that just heads for a draw. So, not the most thrilling game, but the tension is increased, and, well, both sides learned a little bit about their opponent. For example, about what their opponent played, and can perhaps go back and use that information when they're preparing. I think Magnus will probably be the most disappointed with that game, though, because with white he achieved really nothing from the opening. And the trend, well, Magnus did well in game 1, but since then, games 2, 3 and 4, Caruana has really found his feet in the opening, and yeah, he's looked pretty good. Nevertheless, it's still absolutely level, 4 draws, and this contest looks like it could go down to the wire. It's very close indeed. Remember, if you'd like to check out the rest of the games of the World Championship, then do check out the playlist above there. If you're not a subscriber, then click the button down there. And if you'd like to support us, then do check out patreon.com/PowerPlayChess and see what you can get for a monthly contribution. Or if you just want to make a one-off PayPal contribution, then again, you can see the links all above there. Thanks for watching.